Wait, what? We are going to take some time off and decide what to do. Like, what will you do now? It says some time off and decide what to do. Maybe we'll sell our possessions and live the simple life in Bali. Maybe I'll try stock trading again. I was quite good at it 20 years ago, but it was too stressful and unsociable, so I stopped. If you don't know, Bali is a place in Indonesia. You know what's crazy? Like, I don't want to dox myself, but Bali is very close to me. Like, I'm quite close to that area. What is up with that? What is up with people being like, yeah, I'm gonna live my simple life in Bali. Bali is a wonderful place, by the way, but as an Indonesian, I don't know about you, Richard La Ruina. I don't know about you coming to this country. I don't know. As a vacation, maybe, you know, support your local tourism, but like, to live? Here's the bottom line. If you make the right choices in-game, you'll make the right choices in your life.
I have never visited there despite being Indonesian, but my mom and one of my sister love go there and I have no idea why.
Here's the thing, right? With Bali, I like it, genuinely, because there's a lot of reasons. So, if you are local, if you're looking for something that's more nature, like untouched by any like civilization, you know, like you actually want to go like no cell signal, you have to start hiking at 5 in the morning, you can't get like no technology, just pure nature. There are so many better places. That's my honest opinion. As someone that I road trip a lot, I touch a lot of grass, right? So I know, crazy, VTuber touches grass, but I would recommend different places to go in Indonesia because a lot of our areas are like woodlands or mountains, right? A lot of the ones that are untouched is mostly mountains, and they're really, really pretty. So it really depends on what you like. However, if you want to go somewhere tropical, very touristy, then Bali's the place to go because people in Bali are very like used to the tourism, right? Like, when you go to Bali, basically, you can expect people to speak whatever language you speak. So, here's one example. When I go to Bali once, a person basically tried talking to me in English, and then they switched to Japanese, and then they switched to Mandarin, and then I responded in Indonesian, and they were like, oh, you're Indonesian? I was like, yeah, no, I'm Indonesian. And they're like, oh, okay, and then they speak Indonesian. So, like, they're very, very talented. And this is a person that I met in Indomaret, by the way. Like, it's in one of the convenience stores. So a lot of them are very used to how to, you know, how to treat you like a tourist, and you get a lot of service, you know? If let's say you book like a beachside dinner, they will set everything up for you. All you have to do is just like literally pay money and arrive. They will escort you there. They'll get you the nice places. Like, it's when you think about vacation, that's the kind of image that they provide, which is really, really nice. But as a local, I don't actually prefer Bali because it's very expensive. Like, Indonesia in itself, like compared to Western countries, and this is me just being like, this is my opinion, right? Again, my opinion as someone that lives here since they were born. Indonesia, compared to other like Western countries, our living cost is not that expensive. Like, it's not as high as, let's say, someone that lives in Canada, right? But it's also because our earnings are not as high. So it makes sense for us, right? Our earning is a certain amount, our living cost is a certain amount. But in Bali, I guess because there's so much tourism, I'm not sure. Or because there's a lot of like foreigners coming and moving and then all that stuff. The living cost is really high, but the minimum wage is still the same as every other place in Indo. So it's really kind of like hard. It's really weird and odd. That's why sometimes, like, when you go to Bali, you can sometimes see that people offer local prices and foreigner prices. Because as a local, it's quite hard to afford these things because they are just quite high compared to everything else, you know? Like, the best example I can give is usually hotels. Let's say hotel in the capital city of Indonesia, right? So Jakarta. A hotel in the capital city of Indonesia that's like a 4-star hotel, it would cost around like 2 mil a night. You know? 2 mil, 2.5 a night, which is around $200 a night. So that's like Jakarta 4-star hotel around $200 a night. In Bali, a 4-star hotel would be around $450 a night. That's like the easiest comparison. For a 4-star hotel in Bali, it's more expensive. And that's just the hotel. You know, excluding transportation, excluding food, excluding common necessities, like it's very different. That's why I don't recommend locals. Like if you want to get away, you want to refresh, you want to touch grass, I don't recommend Bali. I'd recommend somewhere else. Like Pulau Seribu's nice. And it's not like Pulau Seribu is not even like isolated. You still have signal. There will still be people helping you. There's stores and etc. Like it's just more affordable. It's beachy as well. If you want like mountainside, there's a place, Solo. Unironically, I love Solo. There's a place here named Solo. I quite like it. It's very like secluded. It's more greenery. The air is very fresh. You know, it's that. So yeah, Solo or Jogja is good. I'd recommend Solo for like grass. Jogja if you kind of want culinary. Because I also love Jogja too. A good amount of... I'll say this. A good amount of my family is in Jogja. So I do visit there quite often. The food is great. Food is always so good. But if you want to like... Was it like open fields kind of thing? Solo. Really nice. The air is fresh. Like riding a bike throughout the day in Solo just feels so good. So... There's a lot of places that I'd recommend that's not Bali. If you are a local Indonesian and you want to like have a time away. But as foreigners, I definitely see the appeal for Bali because it's like foreign price. You know, so it's not too expensive for foreigners mostly. And it definitely has like an experience. I did see a question in chat that's like, how safe is Bali? I'm gonna be honest. I would give it like a 50-50.
50-50 what? Like 50% we live, 50% we die?
Because some areas are very safe in a sense where if you're a foreigner, then they don't really want to like mess with that a little. But there are definitely some bad apples. I'm not gonna say like Bali's horrible. My experience with Bali has always been nice. People has always been nice to me, but that's also because I don't go to any places that could cause me troubles, you know? Like I don't go to the clubs, I don't go to the bars, I don't go to like any of that. I just like when I go to Bali, all I do is eat. That's it. Like all I do is just eat. I don't even use the cars. What if road rage? I don't actually know because I don't drive in Bali. There are traffic sometimes during high hours, but I don't drive. I always take a bike or I walk when I'm in Bali. But I go to Bali for food and then I just like I literally sleep at like 6 p.m. I wake up in the morning and then I go to the north side of Bali. And then I just like chill there because the north side of Bali has more forests. So that's the kind of area I like to be in. But I have family in Bali too that definitely says that there are some like dangers in some areas. Like the crowded areas with all the bars and the clubs, there are definitely some bad apples that will try and, you know, sell stuff to you or approach you in a certain way. Or like maybe like if you're not wary, they might take your things. Like it is in a certain group of area, but it's more common in places that are like clubs and bars, is what my family says. But I've personally never had any bad experience with Bali, but I can't guarantee that it's like, oh, 100% like it's super secure, it's super safe. Just look out for yourself, you know? Like when you get a drink, have a lid on it or like guard your drink. Always have all your belongings with you, stuff like that. Minta komen buat soto Solo enak tapi nggak bisa makan dagingnya. Someone asked me like, can I have your comment on a Solo soto, which is a food? I like it, but I can't eat it anymore because it's the nice part is the meat. Yeah, that's my honest opinion of Bali. Okay, and I love this country. Support your local tourism, but I'm not gonna be out here lying. So it is definitely 50-50. Just be careful of where you go. Definitely something. I don't know. Personally, I have a weird ick feeling about how some people treat Bali. Like sometimes when I go to Bali, there's so many foreigners and some foreigners are just so rude, dude. Like one thing though, I'll tell you, in Bali, I think the religion, like most of the religion is Hinduism. So around the roads, you can see like, I don't know what it is in English. Like it's not a sacrifice, but it's basically a box made of a leaf and there's like fruits or flowers, mostly offerings. Yes. You'll see offerings that people put in front of their doors on the side of the roads, right? Just be mindful. Like, people are not gonna be angry at you if you accidentally step on it. Just be careful when you do walk on the road in order to, like, not step on the offerings, you know, just for that sake. I will have to say that because some people do go to Bali and they're like, what is that, you know? So you don't have to, like, beat yourself up if you did step on it. Just be mindful because sometimes it can be quite small. And just, like, it can be a bit small. Just, like, don't mess it up. It's just, like, a respect in a respect sense. That's like something that I do give a heads up just because I don't think people are aware of it. And it's not a big thing. Like the offerings are very small. It's like the size of your palm. So I totally understand if you don't see it by accident. But yeah, just be wary. Like when I'm in Bali, I usually walk looking down anyway, so I always see it. But yeah, that can be like a thing. But I don't know. Usually people will like tell you like, oh, be careful when you walk, stuff like that. But at least now you know what you're looking out for, right? You're not just like, why am I supposed to be careful? But sometimes I do see a bunch of like rude foreigners. The weird thing is in Indonesia, I'm not gonna say everywhere in Indonesia, but I've traveled to a good amount. It's very rare that you see alcohol so easily distributed, you know? Like, let me switch to just chatting real quick. Like, usually cafes and restaurants, they don't sell alcohol. In Bali, since it's primarily Hindu area, alcohol is more readily available. Yep. So I wouldn't say like the religion of the country, but the majority. So majority of people in Indonesia is Muslim, right? So with that in mind, alcohol is considered haram and we don't sell that. In like commonly, like they do sell it in like bars, but there's a sign that's like, oh, we sell alcohol or something like that. But you don't just go to any random restaurant and order alcohol. But in Bali, it's very accessible. It's so much more accessible. Yeah, here's the thing. I don't know if it's just like for Indo, but we have like the stamp. We have the halal stamp. So halal means that like no pig, no lard, no pork, no lard, no alcohol, all that stuff, right? It's basically just halal. I don't know how to describe halal in English, but I think you guys know what it is. Yeah, halal is just like considered, I wouldn't say sinful, it's bad, like a no-go for the Muslim religion, right? So yeah, Islamically lawful, thank you. So in order to get the halal stamp, you have to follow a lot of like a good amount of the procedures. So if let's say a store sells pork, big chance they will also sell alcohol or a form of alcohol because they already are not receiving the halal stamp, which is not bad. Like it's not like, oh, if you don't have the halal stamp, it's like horrible and it's illegal. It's not illegal. It's just a warning, a heads up for people that wants to eat there that like, oh, this place serves like non-halal options, right? It's kind of like if a restaurant says like, oh, we're vegan friendly, right? Then vegans enter and be like, oh yes, vegan friendly place. Same thing with the halal sticker. So the thing that I noticed in Bali is there's less of those. Yeah, just so people would know. Yeah, like in Bali, so many alcohol is served like practically anywhere. Like in restaurants, in cafes, they just have like beer or some form of like wine. It's very, very easily accessible. And I guess it's normal in the West because last time I traveled to the UK as well, that's common. I forgot if I went to a coffee cafe place, but it was like a cafe that opened early in the morning. And I saw that they do sell alcohol, so I was like, oh, I guess it's common there. Yeah, I guess in the West it's very common. Here in my country, it's very not common. So it was a little bit of a shock to me at first. But now I'm like, I get it. But when I was younger, I remember going to a restaurant and I flipped through the menu and in the end, there's cocktails, right? And I didn't know what a cocktail was. So I ordered cocktails. And then the server looked at me and they were like, you're a kid. And I was like, oh yeah, I want the mojito, please. Because here, the mojito is a mocktail. We sell mocktails. So mocktail is non-alcoholic cocktails. So I was like, can I have the apple mojito, please? And they're like, ma'am, you look like you're 12. And I'm like, I'm 13. I'm like, I'm 13. Can I have the apple mojito, please? And they're like, no, we're not selling alcohol to a 13-year-old. Yeah, mostly we have mocktails. That was the first time I was like, alcohol? What? You have alcohol? No way. I was so shocked. But yeah, never heard of cocktail in my life. The first time I've heard about the word cocktail was when I was 13 or something. Maybe, I'm not saying that this is probably the reason. This is just my assumption. When I go to Bali, I see a good amount of people that are either tipsy or drunk, you know? And I guess their actions become a bit more like, Like, the best way I can explain it is like, you know how in Japan, it's just like, to respect the culture, when you go onto the train, you don't make a noise, right? Like, you silent your phone, you don't talk to people out loud, you don't make any ruckus. Like, when you're on the train in Japan, if you're sick, wear a mask, you just sit or stand and just stay quiet until you leave out of the station. Everything is like silent and well coordinated. That's like a sign of respect. In Indo, we have something like that, but not really about the silence. It's mostly about like how you handle things. Like, don't make a fuss, don't raise your voice, don't like just flail things around. I think the worst thing I've seen was I went to the market in Bali once, and there was a group of tourists, right? And these group of tourists would go to the market, and like the market is not like there's a door, it's an open market. You do like if you want something, you tell the owner and you pay, and then you take your item. But like these tourists are just like picking up the items, and they're like laughing at each other because we do have a lot of stuff. I would say some people can consider it funny, right? But we do have like those like wooden cocks and wooden statue figures of like people saying fuck you. Like we have lots of those funny stuff, but I see people just like take it and then flail it around and throw it to their friends. And that's just so weird. And sometimes they can be so loud and obnoxious. Like I've heard it was like, it's not a bar, but it's in a beach area, right? And in the beach, there's like a restaurant and cafes. I was in one of the cafes and I heard someone just be like, okay, I'll click my fingers so you'll probably hear it. But they go like, English, use English, like that. Like that. And I was so angry, bro. I was like, because not everyone in Bali can speak a lot of languages, you know, but some can, some can't. But it is our country. I think I would kill a man because of that. I remember, like, I heard that. I was like, oh my god, shit, girl. Like, you good? Like, what's wrong with you? Yeah, they snapped. They were like, English. I guess they had a problem with something. I'm not sure, but they were talking to the cashier. And I feel so bad because the cashier was just like calling their friends to like if anyone knows how to speak English and stuff. So that's why like a little bit I do have like, not to everyone. I will always assume the best of everyone until proven otherwise. But when people go to Bali and they're just like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna live in Bali, fuck it. If I ever fuck up in life, I'm just gonna go live in Bali, fuck it. It's an ick for me a little. Like a little bit I'm just like, oh, why can't you just like move to Bali and not have any problems? You know, like move to Bali because you like Bali, not because you're running away from a problem, you know? Like, because I don't know your character now. Like, I don't know. That's just a me thing though. Because I will say, Indo is very, very friendly. A lot of Indonesians, like, this is one thing I'm very proud of. Our mentality is very friendly. That's the thing, like, I don't even know where they're from. So I can't even say like, oh my god, stereotypical blank. I'm not even gonna stereotype. It's just like, just don't be rude, bro. Like, don't be rude, five-head. That's just the thing that I don't quite like. Because Indonesians are very, very friendly. Yeah, Indonesians are generally very friendly. Like, we're the type of people that are like, a little bit, I dare say, glorify tourists. Right? And I don't mean that in a bad way, nor do I mean in a good way. I'm just saying it like how I see it. If you're a tourist, we're going to be extra nice to you just because. Like, if you speak a different language or we're like, oh, you're clearly not from around here, huh? We're gonna be like, hey, you know, yeah, like, oh my god, are you okay? Like, do you need any help? Blah, blah, blah. Like, most Indonesians are very friendly, very, very friendly to foreigners. So that's why I'm like quite proud that our tourism is quite nice. However, because of that, sometimes I worry that some people would take advantage of it a little, just because like I'm not saying everyone in Indo is that nice. Okay, there are some rude people. I think, holy shit, there was this one time, if I find the video I'll show it to you. I saw there was a foreign backpacker, like a foreigner that's going backpacking in Indonesia, and he's not just in Bali, he's like traveling around our cities and islands and all that, and he's recording videos. And in one of the videos, he wanted to buy like some snacks from a kiosk. And the person in the kiosk, which is who is Indonesian, he was like, "Oh, how much is this?" And he's like, "Oh, it's like $1." It's like, "Okay, I'll get one of them." And she's like, "Oh, do you want to buy this too? Do you want to buy that too?" And he's like, "Yeah, okay. It'll total up to around like $3." And he's like, "Okay, sure. I'll buy all that. Like, I want to try snacks. That'll be great." And then the store owner had like a bunch of people around the kiosk, and he was like, "Hey, you see those kids over there? Those kids hasn't eaten the whole day. Can you buy them something?" And the kids run up to him and the kids are like, "Mister, please buy me this snack. Mister, please. Mister, I want to buy this snack, mister." And there's like 10 of them. And the foreigner's like, "Oh, okay, sure. I'll just buy them like one each." It's like, okay, so your total is $8. You see those people over there too? They haven't eaten. Why don't you order them a whole meal? He ended up paying like $15 or $20. And I was so disappointed. Like, so many people in the comments, like so many Indonesians were so upset at how he was treated. Because that is so rude. Like, he just got scammed, dude. Yeah, like, so many Indonesians were like, "We're so sorry that they treated you this way. Like, that is so rude. And that's not common. Like, we're so sorry you had a bad experience." But the foreigner was just like, "Haha, it's okay, I guess, you know. you live and you learn kind of a guy. But I've seen another video of him and I don't think anyone caught it because I read the comments and no one called it out. But in one of the videos, he was walking, right? And he was like talking to one of like a guy like for directions. He was talking to this driver guy for directions, and there were two people there. One of them tried to respond in English. The other guy was just full on shit talking him, like in Indonesian to his face on camera. Like it was him and his friend, and the friend was just shit talking him in Indonesian, just being like, "Oh my god, this stupid, annoying, blah blah blah." Like, and I understand because I can understand it. So I was just like, "What the fuck?" And this foreigner didn't know anything. So the foreigner's just like, "Oh, thank you so much, yeah, you're so nice, thank you, thank you." And the guy just like laughed at him and everything. I was like, shit. So there are some people, and it does, like, I'm not saying like, oh my god, all foreigners bad. Like some people as well are kind of cringe. But aside from like some literally few bad apples, most people are so nice. There's a lot of videos of people like, he met them on the street and they literally like had to walk back home, come back to him with a motorcycle and take him to his destination because it was quite far. Like most Indonesians would do that. If you're like, hey, do you know the direction of this? And it's like, oh my god, it's a 2-hour walk. Okay, just wait here for 5 minutes, I'll take my stuff. And then he came back with his motorcycle and drove it. Like most people act that way. Just, yeah, heads up, it's not bound by place. Yeah, bad people are just everywhere. Yeah, just be careful basically. I don't know. Oh, we went on a tangent because of Super Seducer Simulator, whatever. This, ooh. So that's why when I saw he's like, I don't know, we're not doing so good, we might just sell our stuff and go to Bali, I was like, wham, 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 man.